Guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to a video called 7 countries that are kicking out Americans, and it's getting worse in 2025. I don't think I've heard this before. Like, they're kicking out Americans like because of what? Like immigration, like new immigration, like a policy, but just in general, or they're just like a very specific thing of like, no, it's American citizens specifically that we don't want here. I don't know. I'm very excited to find out. So let's check it out and comment, like, and subscribe.
Did you know that in 2025, a growing number of countries are quietly slamming the door on Americans? We're talking about places that once rolled out the red carpet for U.S. citizens, now making it nearly impossible to live, work, or even visit. And trust me, some of the countries on this list will completely shock you. Whether it's political backlash, cultural tension, or just burnout from waves of digital nomads, the global shift is real.
Oh,
and
that's a great point, because I know that like the digital nomads, like there's like so many of them these days. But I know that a lot of countries, they're gentrifying a lot of cities, and of course, if your own citizens are having trouble finding houses and finding like good housing in this particular city, I know that people that actually live there are because they're gentrifying the whole place. Of course, that there's the actual citizens and the natives are going to be like, we don't really want you there, and it's usually Americans that do this. So I can see why they're like, get out of here. We don't really want you here.
Millions of Americans are about to feel it. Stick around until number 5, because what's happening there is a warning sign for the future of international travel.
Oh my God.
But before we dive in, hit that like button and subscribe, because this isn't just a travel video. It's a wake-up call for anyone who thinks the world will always welcome Americans with a smile. Number 1, Canada.
Oh my God.
America's best backup plan? Not anymore. Canada has long been the go-to escape route for Americans looking for stability, healthcare, or just a more peaceful lifestyle. But in 2025, that door is beginning to close. Here's the truth. Canada is in crisis. A massive housing shortage has turned cities like Toronto and Vancouver into rent nightmares. Wait times at emergency rooms have tripled. Public transit is overwhelmed. Canadians are frustrated, and immigration...
Is it just because there's the city cannot handle the amount of the population growth? Is that it?
...has become the scapegoat. In response, the government has introduced strict caps on all types of immigration. Permanent residency processing times have ballooned. Americans applying for extended stays are now facing intense scrutiny, especially if they don't bring in a high income or specific in-demand skills.
Okay, but I think that's a good thing. A lot of places have this, and well, not Canada specifically, but just a lot of places and a lot of countries have this, and that's usually been the case for a lot of people. So I think it's just a little bit of I don't want to sound mean, but it's just a thing of getting their own in the United States, it tends to be like that. The United States has one of the most harder process of getting citizenship or even residence. So it is a little bit of you're getting a spoonful of your own medicine, and they're experiencing what a lot of people actually have experienced throughout the years, and a lot of other different countries. So it is a little bit of that.
One retired American couple living in Nova Scotia was recently told their residency renewal would not be approved.
Oh.
They'd been there for over 12 years. They
See what I mean? There's so many people in the United States, it's immigrants that have gone through all this process. And again, it's I've lived here for I don't know, 25 years, 30 years. And they'll tell you, no, you have to leave. So it's a little bit of they're experiencing how the other half lives.
Volunteered locally, paid taxes, contributed to the community.
They did everything
but their modest pension no longer meets the updated financial threshold. They were told simply, it's time to return home.
This is gorgeous.
Canadians aren't angry at Americans specifically, but they're tired. And as one headline in the Toronto Star read, "We can't save the U.S. from itself. Our cities are at breaking point." For many Americans who thought Canada would always be Plan B, 2025 is the year they realize there may not be a plan at all. Number 2, Mexico. Mexico has long been a haven for Americans, retirees, digital nomads, and anyone chasing sunshine and affordable living. But in 2025, the tone has changed. After years of lenient visa policies, Mexican officials finally cracked down. Why? Because over 1 million Americans overstayed their tourist permits last year alone. Many were working remotely, some illegally, and almost none were paying Mexican taxes. The result? A wave of
This is crazy because I think I'm like you compare especially to the US. I think I'm pretty sure that Mexico has one of the like looks like it's super cheap. It's cheaper at less. I 100% guarantee that it's cheaper than the United States. So the fact that it's even cheaper to live there, and probably I going to take a wild guess and mention like a lot of these people moving, especially like the digital nomads or people that work remotely, are moving to Mexico because it's cheaper to actually live there. And the fact that you are actually doing this and not even like doing it like legally because you don't want to pay taxes in a place that's already like super cheap, that's like, come on, like you have to have like a minimum of like decorum and decency.
Strict enforcement.
Not that you shouldn't have this like in other places, because even if it's like, oh, the taxes are going to be more expensive, it's like, well, yeah, but you should definitely take that into account before moving to a place, because you always have to be like legally residing in one specific like country. But you know, it's like, I think it's even more like, come on, if it's like cheaper than usual.
Immigration officers are now stationed at major travel hubs, scanning for past overstays. Fines have quadrupled. Blacklistings have spiked.
Oh my god,
Tourists caught working without proper permits are being deported, sometimes on the spot. But it's not just about policy, it's about pressure. In places like Mexico City, Tulum, and Puerto Vallarta, locals are voicing anger. Rents have soared. Traditional neighborhoods have been overtaken by short-term rentals. The term gringofication is no longer just a joke. It's a social issue. One local shop owner in Oaxaca said in an interview, "We're losing our culture, and the foreigners don't care. They come, they earn US money, and they leave us with higher prices and no homes." If you're American and planning to stay long-term, expect to show financial statements, background checks, and proof you're contributing legally.
As
Anything less, and you might find yourself on the next flight north. Number 3, China.
I think it's a little bit of like Americans think that nothing bad ever's going to happen to them, and then all countries want them. And it's like, no, you should go through a due process just as everyone else in the world does. As ironically, the US actually expects everyone to visit to actually do so.
China isn't just pushing back, it's pushing Americans out.
Oh, literally.
Amid escalating US-China tensions, 2025 has seen an unprecedented rise in visa denials, silent blacklists, and forced exits targeting Americans. English teachers and corporate expats, once seen as cultural bridges, are being quietly phased out.
Okay.
Work permits are being denied with vague terms like national security concerns.
Is this because of the central
One American tech consultant in Shanghai reported being detained at immigration and questioned for 6 hours before being denied re-entry, despite holding a valid work visa. His company couldn't explain it. His embassy had no answers. He simply became one more expat caught in the crossfire of geopolitics. Even those with clean records are reporting increased surveillance, surprise apartment inspections, and sudden non-renewal of leases. And this crackdown isn't being announced publicly, it's being executed silently. Living in China as an American in 2025 means constant anxiety. You may be left alone today, but tomorrow the rules may change. And when they do, you'll likely find out after you've already been locked out.
Okay,
Number 4,
that's harsh.
the United Arab Emirates. From afar, the UAE looks like the perfect playground for Western expats. Tax-free income, luxury living, world-class infrastructure.
Isn't it expensive?
But under the surface, Dubai and Abu Dhabi are tightening control. And Americans are finding themselves in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons.
Oh my god, okay.
The new 2025 Residency Stability Directive has introduced intensive vetting for visa renewals. Authorities are reviewing social media behavior, financial records, and even private WhatsApp conversations for any sign of cultural friction.
Oh.
Several Americans were deported this year.
That looks like, I'm guessing obviously that's maybe Abu Dhabi, but like this looks like this clip, it looks like straight up, like it doesn't look real. It looks like straight up like a sci-fi film. Like there's what is that? The lights are like, this is crazy.
For things they didn't even realize were offenses.
Oh.
Public dancing at a beach bar, criticizing traffic laws online, or posting memes that authorities deemed disruptive.
Okay, that's a
Here's the kicker.
dictatorship.
Deportation in the UAE is final. One mistake, one misunderstood comment,
And you're out.
and you're banned for life. A freelance writer from New York shared his story.
Oh my god.
I wasn't even warned. They just told me at the airport, your visa is canceled. You're on the next plane out.
And you're
In
like,
2025,
why?
if
I
you're
posted
not
a
rich,
meme.
not quiet, or not constantly cautious, you don't belong in the UAE.
Okay.
Number 5, Hungary. Hungary may not scream expat hub, but for
Yeah.
years, Americans have quietly relocated to Budapest for its charm, affordability,
I
and
didn't know
easy
there were
access
like that
to
many
Europe.
Americans there.
That era, it's fading
So blue.
fast. Prime Minister Viktor Orban's hardline nationalist stance has morphed into a quiet rejection of foreign
Oh,
residents.
so okay.
And Americans, particularly liberal, English-speaking professionals,
Oh,
are
because they're
finding
conservative?
themselves under scrutiny. Residency renewals are
government
now
other people.
conditional. Applicants must prove financial independence, fluency in Hungarian, and evidence of cultural integration. And yes, that's an actual checkbox now.
Well, but I always said it, maybe controversial, but if you're planning on moving somewhere, long term, you should definitely check those boxes. You should definitely learn the language, and you should definitely be, I have to be culturally integrated because obviously if I'm expected to live there, I have to be like, there's like a threshold that I obviously have to fulfill. It doesn't mean that you're going to call yourself Hungarian now, but yes, of course you have to learn the language and you have to be more culturally integrated without leaving behind like your own roots. But in general, that's what you should be. Those are the steps that you should take.
One American photographer living in Pest for 7 years was denied renewal with a single sentence.
Which one?
Insufficient contribution to national values.
Okay, well that's weird
Expats are
language.
also reporting sudden banking restrictions, missing paperwork at immigration offices, and social hostility from right-wing media portraying them as cultural invaders.
Okay, yeah, exactly. This is
Hungary
like a
isn't
right-wing
knocking on-
situation. This is, I think, turning into a little bit of like, they're right wing, and it's turning into like totalitarianism and another like stuff. But I think in general, what I said rings true. This one, it's a little bit like, yes, the language that they're using is a little bit like, okay, this is turning into something strange.
On your door and asking you to leave, but it is quietly making you feel like you should.
Yeah.
Number 6, the Philippines. No country
That's so
has
pretty.
historically been more welcoming to Americans than the Philippines.
Oh.
Shared history, shared language, deep cultural ties. But even this Pacific paradise has drawn a line. In 2025, the Philippine government rolled out sweeping reforms to its special resident retirees visa program.
Oh, they had
The minimum age was raised, financial requirements doubled, and retirees must now undergo annual compliance checks,
Oh my God, that's
including
gorgeous.
in-person interviews and financial audits. Why the change? Officials cited rising concerns about aging dependency, unpaid hospital bills, and foreigners gaming the visa system to live tax-free.
Oh my God, they're giving this.
One hospital in Davao went public this year, revealing it had written off over $800,000 in unpaid
Oh my God.
bills. The majority from elderly American
Americans?
patients who had overstayed their tourist visas. A 73-year-old veteran who'd called the Philippines
I'm gonna guess it's the same thing as with Mexico. I'm gonna guess like it's cheaper to live there. So wouldn't you like do it legal? Isn't one of those like places that you're actually moving because it's cheaper to actually live there? And if you're retired, then this makes like the perfect place. But it's like you have to go through the system. Come on, you're like cheating at people. Like I don't know. That's like your morals are pretty low.
home for 15 years was denied renewal after missing 2 interviews due to medical issues.
Well,
He was given 21 days to leave. Even longtime residents now feel the ground shifting beneath them. And for new arrivals, the message is even clearer.
Get out of here.
If you want to stay here, you need to bring money, paperwork, and total respect, or you won't stay long.
Well, but
Number
that's not a
7,
bad thing necessarily. I don't think.
Thailand, the land of smiles, is still smiling, just not as widely if you're American in 2025. The Thai government has launched its Secure Thailand initiative, aimed at regulating long-stay foreigners.
Okay.
And Americans, once a sizable portion of the digital nomad wave, are getting caught up in the bureaucracy. New rules demand that all long-term visa applicants show verified monthly income of $3,000 plus, local health insurance, a clean criminal record from both home and abroad, and biometric check-ins every 90 days. Even popular schemes like the
why not
Elite
every
Visa
90
are now
days?
under audit, with nearly 2,000 revocations in the past year alone. One American YouTuber in Chiang
These are
Mai
pretty.
was banned from re-entry after joking about Thai politics in a vlog.
Okay,
He later
there should be a
admitted,
democracy.
"I thought
That's
it was
bad.
harmless. Turns out, nothing is harmless anymore." Thailand isn't banning Americans outright, but it's making it so bureaucratic, stressful, and uncertain that many are choosing to leave on their own. This isn't some conspiracy theory. It's not alarmism. This is happening. Right now, quietly, consistently,
my God.
globally. The American
for real?
passport
That
still
number is
opens
huge.
doors, but fewer than it used to. And those that are still open often come with strings, checks, and conditional welcomes. The world is watching America, its politics, its economy, its culture. And the reactions are no longer just on the news. They're showing up in policy, paperwork, and the real lives of real people. So here's the big question. Are these countries simply protecting their national interests? Or are we watching the slow unraveling of US global favor? Let us know in the comments below. We read everyone. And don't forget, our next video will spotlight 10 countries that still welcome Americans with open arms, with updated
There's
2025
people
visa
that
tips,
want you.
cost of living breakdowns, and cultural compatibility guides. Until then, stay informed, stay respectful, and if you're lucky, stay welcome.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's like, are they just like tightening, like they're because they're sorting out their immigration policies, or it's just like an American thing in general of like, they don't want them anymore because yes, there's like a lot of like political stuff happening in the United States right now. But I don't know. I think there's just like a little bit of, and again, it's like a little of, again, I don't want to say mean, but it's a little bit of that of their Americans have gone unchecked for like so long because they tend to believe like, yes, the United States is the most powerful, important, biggest country in the world. And you're lucky, like you should be lucky and you should feel lucky of me like being here. You should be like, I'm gracing you with my presence. And again, not all of them, but a lot of them are like that. And they feel that because they're Americans, they don't really have to, go through all the checkpoints and go through like the little checklist that a lot of I think everyone's used to it of like, yes, if you're entering a country, like you're expected, to actually, if you want to reside there illegally, there are some certain like steps that you have to take, and you have to actually read up on like what country, like what do I have to do, like what's the process like, and that's just like a normal thing for a lot of people. But for a lot of Americans, I think they believe of like, oh yeah, again, it's like they don't really care, and it's like because I'm an American, and it's gonna be everything's good, everything's like it's okay. But it's like no, not necessarily, as we've seen, and some of them I think are just a little bit of that whole like, well, like in Hungary's case, like there's a thing, and I think Thailand as well. There's a thing about like their own governments. I think they're leaning on to like stuff that is really not as good because it's like a lot of like right wing. Rhetoric, and it's a little bit of like you can't criticize the government, you can't criticize anything, and that's bad, obviously, because democracies should definitely allow you to be, to just not agree with stuff, like it's okay. So this is like borderline, maybe leaning towards like another suit of problems, but others, like I think it was the United Arab Emirates, and I can't remember the other, but it's like, yes, if you are going, and I think the Philippines as well, like if you're going unchecked for so long, and that to the point where there's like so many of you guys that are gaming and cheating the system, and people are going to start noticing, and it's going to actually bring actual trouble to this country, yes, I can see why they're going to be like, well, no, we have to fix this because you're actually becoming a problem. And it's very ironic of them to actually be upset about this, because that's literally what the United States does and has done historically. Even right now in the US, like they're going through the same process. So it is, like, yes, you're expecting like the US treats and has always treated like immigrants in that way, although they're very clearly, yes, the land of opportunity is the American dream. And yes, technically it is like that, but historically, again, it's very hard to get like a US like residency, a green card, or again becoming a US citizen. So it is historically has been very hard to immigrate to the United States and doing it like legally, and even just like tourist visas, they're also like pretty hard to get. Well, not hard to get, but you have to go through an actual process of, it's not just like, oh, it's not a formality. You have to, people have to go through an interview, and they have to like check how much money you're earning and whatever. Like it's a process. So the fact that other countries, do this as well, it shouldn't come as a surprise, because it's like, you're from the US. You should know how the US treats its immigrants. So the fact that you're now, again, you're seeing the other side of the coin, and that the fact that you've never actually expected to be treated like that because you're an American, well, that's another story. But that's how it should be, because that's how the U.S. has treated like immigrants for, so long that, like it shouldn't come as a surprise. So it is kind of crazy. And again, because you're thinking, oh, but the U.S. is one of the, everyone welcomes its citizens. It's like, no, not necessarily. And again, it's like, it's not a surprise, because the U.S. has always treated like immigrants like that. Like, for instance, the one they said about, like, they, like, had someone in the airport and they were, like, checking them and they were, like, putting it, like, they made, like, a separate interview. The U.S. is known for doing this. So it is, like, again, a spoonful of your own medicine. Is it, like, is it bad or good? I don't know, like, who's the judge? No one's the judge to actually say, like, oh, that's a bad or that's good. But, again, it's, like, a little ironic that this is, like, that they're experiencing this when a lot of people all over the world have actually experienced this when going through the process of like moving to the United States. So it is a little bit of like, well, yes, if it's good or bad, I don't know. Like, I don't know anyone could be the judge. But it's really interesting that a lot of places are definitely, this was a year, 2025 was a year of like, we're closing the doors on American citizens, but United States have actually closed the door to immigrants in 2025. So it's a little bit of like, you're shutting the door in my face, well, I'm shutting it right back. So, again, it's like, it's a very complicated subject. But that was it for today, and I'll see you soon. Bye!